The movie opens with Jacob Tremblay, a small boy with very long hair, explaining us how he came into the custody of Ma, Brie Larson, his mother, via TV people in space and him falling from heaven. He wakes up and introduces himself to everything in the little room he shares with his mother, including the chair, the cabinet, and the stain on the carpet. Jack is happy because it's his 5th birthday today. His mother informs him that they will bake him a birthday cake. She guides him through a yoga practice in their cramped bathroom as they go about their daily activities. She encourages him to work out by urging him not to touch this wall. Ma bakes the dessert at night. It turns out to be very modest and unimpressive because of the scarce resources. "Why are there no candles with fire?" inquires Jack. "He can't get them," she informs him. She might have requested candles from old Nick for their Sunday treat instead of pants like last time. He retorts, refusing to taste the cake. She claims to obtain the items required for their Sunday feast. He says that when he turns 6 the next week, he might ask for candles. He will turn 6 the next year, she says. Jack prepares to sleep in a cramped storeroom as night falls. When old Nick enters, we see a fleeting glimpse of him through the slats from Jack's perspective. They have intercourse away from the camera, and Ma's tiny bed starts to squeak. As this continues, Jack simply counts more and more. Jack awakens to see his mother still in bed. Their daily activities continue as usual. As she slices an apple, a toothache is exposed. Jack accepts it from her and chews it up. He speaks of the TV people, whom he believes to be some sort of alien life, as he watches TV on a CRT television. Jack is upset that his mother neglected to inform old Nick that it was his birthday, and that Nick would have given a gift. He is told by Ma that he was lying. Jack discovers a brand new remote control race car when he wakes up the following morning. To Ma's chagrin, he plays with it all over the small room. Ma starts yelling up towards the ceiling, which we see is lined with soundproof material, while the race car is creating noise. There are no windows in the room, however, one skylight does provide a view of the sky. Jack starts out by gushing to his mother about his beloved pet dog, Lucky, how eager he is to see him again. His mother informs him that they don't have a dog and that he made Lucky up in his brain. Ma is preparing cheese sandwiches that evening. When Jack queries what it smells, she finds the toaster oven has caught fire because she forgot to turn it off. Her concern is over this. Jack is sent to bed by her. When he dreams, he wonders where he goes. Jack is still in his cabinet when a padlock code is entered. Old Nick enters with a bag of goods. She explains that she burned the sandwiches she was making while she wasn't paying attention when he inquires about the stench. He tells her that she has never been good at thinking. Old Nick becomes ferociously angry with her and remarks that it must be difficult to have to provide for the two of them when she questions him about something missing from the bags. He informs her that he lost his job 6 months ago and wonders if she is aware of how difficult it is to make purchases without a paycheck. When she inquires about his job search, he snaps at her. Jack stirs in the cupboard as he listens to the debate. Old Nick notices and queries whether he is indeed dozing off inside. He tells Jack to come out because he has candy in an attempt to show that he is awake. But Ma lures Nick to bed before Jack can accept the bait. Jack comes out of his cupboard later that evening and creeps up to Ma's bed. Next to her, old Nick is still fast asleep. Nick opens his eyes as Jack casts a glance his way. He reaches for Jack, but Ma wakes up and slams Nick into the ground. He punches her, allowing Jack to run away. Jack breaks down in tears as he assures his mother that he would never leave the cupboard again as Nick storms off. The following morning, Jack discovers he can see his breath when he awakens in Ma's bed. He explains this to Ma when she awakens and calls his mother a dragon. Ma is aware that Nick turned off the power. They are freezing because it is dark and the heater is not on. They wrap themselves with blankets. The electricity comes back on after a while. Ma notices a leaf that has fallen onto the skylight. Jack doesn't believe her because leaves on TV are green, but she can see that they are green on trees before they fall off and turn brown. Ma reveals to Jack a strategy for rescuing him. She sets the burner to boiling while announcing that she will persuade old Nick to be ill. He will transport him to a public location known as a hospital. Jack will write a note and give it to everybody he meets in the hospital, mentioning his mother's name as she was undoubtedly a well-known kidnap victim. Jack is anxious because he has never actually seen a human and is unsure of what to anticipate. Why don't they simply harm old Nick and then flee, he wonders. She splashes the hot water on his face as old Nick is about to enter the room, which causes him to scream. She then tries to comfort him by urging him to act floppy and pretend to be ill. Jack is startled when she makes herself throw up and puts it all over his pillow. Ma is upset when old Nick enters and explains that Jack became ill because they were left in the cold and without power. Old Nick observes that Jack is burning up and promises to get him some antibiotics the next day. Ma, however, demands that he bring Jack to the hospital's emergency room because the situation is serious. He turns it down. Ma claims to have a new strategy the following day. Instead of being floppy, Jack will appear to be dead and rigid like a robot. Old Nick will load Jack into the back of a truck after she rolls him up in a rug. When he senses motion, he will roll up in the rug. There will be a lengthy standstill, at which point Jack must exit the vehicle and rush to the first person he sees to seek for assistance. In order to prevent him from unrolling himself, she rolls him in the rug excessively tightly. She tries it once more, but this time he can free himself because of how loosely he is wrapped. When Jack watches TV, he can now tell that the characters he sees are real people being photographed, despite the fact that the cartoons aren't actually being made using real people. He's starting to get it now, finally. They keep reiterating to her that when the truck stops, he will disintegrate, leap out, and then look for aid as they talk about the plan. While they will be apart, she instructs him to imagine his mother's voice guiding him. She says yes when he asks if she'll go with him into the outside world. But it's clear that she doesn't think she'll make it once old Nick knows she's tricked him into allowing Jack to go. They hear the padlock at that very moment, and Ma needs to act quickly to fold Jack up into the rug. When Nick walks in, she tells him she's finished and that he has the meds. But Ma starts screaming and claims that Nick killed Jack by cutting the electricity. She urges him to bury Jack in the woods or another area with trees so that he can have a dignified burial. Jack is picked up by Nick in the rolled-up rug after he accepts. Just as they had planned, the rug is placed in the back of old Nick's pickup truck. He departs in his car to bury Jack in the forest. Jack feels the truck slow down and come to a stop from inside the rug. He starts to come apart and succeeds in getting himself out from under the rug. Old Nick drives through 2 stop signs before crossing a railroad bridge. Then Jack decides to get up and go outside in search of someone. Nick observes this activity in his rearview mirror, calls Ma a stupid bitch, and pulls over. Jack simultaneously starts to run in the direction of a real person walking a dog. Nick, however, grabs him and tries to drag him back to the car with great force. Even though Jack is too terrified to approach the man, he attempts passing him the message as he is being pulled away. Due to Jack's long hair, the man misidentifies him as a girl and urges him to leave the girl alone or he would contact the police. Old Nick drives off in the truck after leaving Jack behind. Now Jack and the man are on their own. After some time has passed, a cordial police officer and her grouchy partner welcome Jack. He is placed in the rear of the vehicle and interrogated. The woman's partner speculates that the youngster may have escaped from a cult, but the female cop is more understanding of Jack. He then starts to speak after showing her his mother's broken tooth that he keeps in his mouth. He is unable to recall his mother's name when she asks. When she asks about his residence, he replies, "A room." He responds no when she asks if the room has any windows. He responds that there is a skylight when she asks how they obtain light. He recalls that it is referred to as a shed. He explains that although the truck stopped twice before going sideways, he was meant to leap off when it did. 3 blocks from the train station, she instructs her partner to radio police to ask them to seek for outbuildings with skylights in the backyards of homes. She claims there ought to be a red pickup truck in the driveway. After some time has passed, the police cruiser pulls up in front of the residence that we had previously observed old Nick loading a rug into his truck. Jack is left in the car alone by the policeman, and since it is a police vehicle, he is unable to open the door. Ma then bursts around the corner, pursued by the officers. She dashes over to the automobile that Jack is in. Jack is unable to exit and she is unable to enter, so she thumps on the glass. In the following scene, Jack awakens in a hospital room that in his estimation feels immense, and has large windows that look out upon a larger world from which he has been cut off all this time. When Ma awakens, he apologizes and admits that he wet the bed. She isn't angry with him. She discards his underwear and assures him that new will be ordered. They have a lot of food, and when he inquires as to whether it is their Sunday treat, she responds that they will be having lots of goodies during the week. She informs them that they have a shower stall even though he wants to take a bath. Ma and Jack receive medical attention and undergo numerous tests. Although Jack is still young enough to most likely develop properly, the doctor enters and advises him to wear a mask and sunscreen before going outside, because he hasn't yet developed an immune to the environment. However, in order to fully adapt Jack, he also has to undergo receiving his first immunizations. Ma will have surgery on the wrist that Nick broke after she tried to injure him, it is mentioned. Jack is informed by Ma that his grandparents would be meeting them. Grandpa has traveled in even though he now lives several hours away. Getting impatient while waiting to be let in, Joan Allen and William H. Macy broke through the door and embraced their long-lost stolen daughter. Ma's mother, who is now living with her new husband, is shown to Jack and Ma in their childhood house. The family does not pay attention to the reporters who have set up camp outside the house. Jack is curious about the location of the hammock that Ma has frequently mentioned, but she is unsure because it must have been taken away in the previous 7 years. According to what Jack has been told, the new spouse of Jack's grandma has a dog, but he keeps it in the country. Numerous toys for Jack are present inside, which, according to Ma, are gifts from all the people who love him. Who are these folks, he is curious. When Jack's grandma inquires about haircuts, he replies in a whisper to his mother, "My strength is in my hair." Ma sees her room is just how she left it. She looks through her old yearbook and shows Jack a photo of her with members of the track team she ran anchor for in high school. She inquires as to what transpired with the other girls, and Jack replies that he is unaware of it. She responds, "That's right, nothing happened to them," in agreement. When they are released from captivity, Ma and Jack struggle to adapt. Ma tells Jack they are currently residing there when he inquires about their planned departure. He continues to be afraid of humans and frequently eludes capture. He feels a little more at ease thanks to Ma's stepdad's warm demeanor. The family's attorney arrives and informs them that they will need money for the trial, and that the quickest way to get it is to go on primetime television. The home is visited by a television journalist. The crew has fabricated Ma, and they advise her that she can ask them to stop asking questions if she feels uncomfortable. During the first part of the interview, the reporter remarks to Ma that it must have been challenging for her to be a devout Christian after spending so much time in captivity, and inquires as to whether Ma ever pondered suicide. Ma, who doesn't respond, is stopped by this when Ma's son inquires about his father someday. The journalist then inquires as to what she will tell him. The journalist then asks if there were other males, to which Ma replies that Nick was not her father. No, but she is Jack's parent, the only parent he has, Ma explains. The journalist ignores this statement and claims that biologically speaking, he's the boy's father. Why didn't she have her captor take Jack away when he was born, she says in yet another intrusive query. According to the journalist, Jack could have been able to have a normal life if he had been left at a hospital. She goes on to say that Ma may have only kept Jack behind bars out of a wish to avoid being alone. Ma is disappointed by the interview and she begins to feel depressed. Jack afterwards notices sounds coming from the restroom. His mother is found on the floor unconscious as he walks in. She attempted suicide by ingesting drugs. Ma has been taken away. Only his grandmother and her lover remain with Jack. However, he starts to feel more at ease in their house and more used to the outside world. Jack, who still recalls his imaginary dog Lucky, gets excited when his grandma's husband even brings his dog home. From the hospital, Ma calls Jack. They had a brief talk despite the fact that he has no telephone skills. Jack requests that Grandma cut his hair, which has never been cut in his entire life. She inquires as to his certainty, and he replies that it is his strength, but he now wants to send it to his mother so that it might be her strength. He is concerned and anticipates pain when his grandma informs him that she used to cut his mom's hair before snipping off his ponytail. She confesses to wanting to chop his hair for a very long time. "I love you, Grandma," he says to her. As time passes, a nearby resident notices Jack through the window. Jack joins him in the backyard and starts to play. Ma is clearly monitoring from within, it is revealed. She welcomes Jack and tells him that receiving his hair made her happy and motivated her to return home. As they play with Legos together, Ma and Jack's friendship from earlier in the movie returns. Ma is questioned by Jack about when they will enter the room again. She is shocked by this, and he clarifies that he only meant for a visit. Ma and Jack go back to the shed, the front door of which has been destroyed. This is how Ma was initially saved. Jack queries whether it has been smaller because it appears quite different from his new vantage point. Ma reveals that the reason for the absence of all the furniture is that the police took it as proof that they were present. With the door open, Jack explains, "Things are different." He refuses to close the door when Ma begs him to do so. Jack now says, "Bye, chair #1, bye, chair #2, bye, cupboard," just as he did when he said hello to everyone in the room. Then he instructs Ma to bid room farewell. In her bedroom, Ma murmurs, "Bye, room." Ma and Jack leave the shed while being escorted by police, who have given them the chance to bid farewell to their prison for their years of imprisonment.